Nix, pique pas de la Toquin. La Toquin était exceptionnelle. Mais qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Slowly but surely get enough damage that he has to. He's like, all right, for LGD, but it's gonna be enough. Soa says, I can do it better. And Origin beat LGD.
And today was another epic day in Paris where some of the best teams in the world continue their battle for the Summoners Cup. The 2015 League of Legends World Championship reaches the halfway point in the first week of the group stages. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Worlds Tonight. I'm QuickShot. That's Jatt, and unfortunately, this is Deficio, as we're here to talk about day 2 of Worlds. 6 more games, 12 in total. Let's start. Hometown, Europe. Origin taking down LGD, the #1 team from China. I mean, that is a massive upset already.
Well, it's funny because before the day, a lot of the people were talking, and all the experts were giving their predictions on Twitter, and pretty much all of them were exactly the same, and all of them had LGD beating Origin. But in the back of people's minds, especially here, I thought, well, maybe it could happen. But this was literally like 3rd to 4th place in the group predicted by most versus 1st place. And the shockwaves from Peke, the whole game was just amazing.
Yeah, Peke wasn't bad. I mean, Peke was the most criticized player.
Coming into this tournament, we were like, Peke, he's played
he was
for a
not
long
good,
time, but he's no longer performing at the same high international level.
We had so many stats showing how Peke was like the worst mid laner from a major region coming into Worlds. It doesn't matter when you hit Worlds.
He's gonna pull off the shockwave, the wombo combo. I think just for Origin, and I think we have gotten so used to when some of the top teams from China, from Korea play European and NA teams, like, there's no chance there's going to be an upset. You know, the European team is going to lose. And now we start seeing more and more of these top teams dropping games because, again, some of the other regions are really picking up the slack. Origin and Fnatic and, of course, CLG is really looking better and
it's strange. We're feeling like a lot of that has to do with the strategic choices early in the game. Because we did a lot of talking beforehand about the way teams would be playing the lane swaps and how it seemed somewhat chaotic in China, and how in Korea they almost never did the turret trade. But North America and Europe were doing the turret trade heavily. And in the past, every time this has happened, we're thinking, oh yeah, Korea must be doing it better. So everyone else is going to fall off here. But it actually seems to be a little different so far.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Korea doing it better, North America and Europe doing it different. TSM in the same group, then losing to KT Rolster.
Look, that was for a whole different reason.
Yeah, okay, but hang on. Neither team came away looking particularly great. Like, TSM were on different pages, right? They were all over the place. They all got caught at different points. Regardless of the fact my boy Bjergsen did well in lane, everybody else is right outside of it.
Yeah.
But even KT Rolster, they only really got ahead because TSM made mistakes. Now, maybe that's a little bit of correlation causation.
Yeah, it's a little bit of hyperbole, but it's mostly true, right? Like,
well, I think looking at that game, KT more forced the mistakes from Team Solomate when it came to how they came back in the lane swap. When it came to punishing Darius, at least, he was left on his own. It was like, where's Lostboy, where's Centurion to back him up? So they punish it. The same thing didn't happen for Someday, who played that a lot better.
Specifically, yes, Someday did play better than Darius, but I don't think that's because Darius was forced into a mistake. Like, the first time Darius died, he had just seen 3 people. He assumed they were doing Dragon. Total assumption.
Okay, that one I agree
and then went to get fired.
That one I agree
right? And that's just the beginning of the snowball. The rest of that game was like a just routine rotation around Dragon Pit, and they run in just like, oh, let's just bow in different directions for no apparent reason.
That one play, though, you highlight, if you look at how TSM was on the map, they're not giving Darius any chance to do anything. So, like, either he walks down and try and get some farm, or he just walks away and he falls even further behind because, again, Centurion and Lostboy were on the top side of the map, where Wild Turtle was already doing fine in, like, so basically sitting and farming on his own. So, like, as a team, it still doesn't work for them in the early game. That's something they have to fix because now Origin showed up big time. So you have 3 very, very strong teams, and now Team Solomate needs to pick up the slack.
They're in a whole bunch of trouble.
They are.
They lost in the worst way, too.
Look, I'm assuming they're out, right, in my opinion, because tomorrow...
One game.
No, I'm assuming it, because tomorrow you've got LGD versus KT Rolster. Like, that's on the schedule for them in the same group. Like, how important is this going to be for fighting now for first, second?
Team Solomate has to beat Origin later in the day, and then, of course, now they got to hope that LG can then take down KT so all the teams can tie each other after just 2 games away, because I think it's only 1 game each in this group here, and there's only 2 games for the other teams, but we're starting to see trends instead, and like LGD showing that.
Yeah, I think most of the pressure is on LGD now, because they were the unanimous favorite in this group.
Yeah.
It was almost assumed they were going to be making it out because they'd beaten EDG and they're the #1 seed from China. But now that they've already lost to a team that wasn't even predicted to get second in this group. If they start 0-2, since they already were under so much pressure, right to the roof.
Talking about pressure, Ku Tigers, number 2 seed. Look, not a lot of eyes on them really coming into this. Some mixed expectations. Nobody expected them to drop a game to Flash Wolves.
Now, Ku Tigers is such a weird team. Some people probably expected Flash Wolves to win their one. This guy maybe wants to take the credit for it.
I didn't officially predict it.
But I kind of said it randomly in a joking manner, and then you take full credit
so
for it.
on Worlds tonight, we're going to have to spend time on this Flash Wolves Ku game because Flash Wolves is going to beat Ku.
Well, we're doing it, right? Like, we're doing it.
Hey, okay, Ku Tigers in that game, I think in the pick and ban phase, it was somewhat disrespecting some of these key picks Flash Wolves has shown before, like the Nidalee for Kaza. Why would you ban the Gragas instead of his Nidalee pick? I know maybe you want the Lee Sin matchup still, I don't buy it. At the same time, you give away Gangplank to a team who then plays Varus as an AD carry with the guy that just subbed in. I feel like you're setting them up to build this massive poke comp, and you just got punished for it.
A couple things. NL always plays Varus. That's one of those things you should have known, and they ended up target banning probably the wrong person since they didn't target ban away his best champion. Every time you're banning, I feel like you need to go for the delta of the champion you ban versus the next closest champion. But Karsa's the best champion is Nidalee. The best champion for NL is Varus, and even the Gangplank, you could tell he wasn't comfortable on it. But by the time the late game hit, it was just ridiculous.
Just the power you have. Like, oh, okay, here's a team fight starting. They're gonna like chase at us. Here's a massive ulti. Here's barrels that's gonna like one-shot your AD carry basically if you move forward. You're not gonna deal any damage, and we have all the poke in the world.
You know what I loved about that as well? Is in the post-game interview with Steak, he's like, you know, Sharks asked, what about the swap from Kramer to NL? And he's like, no, we planned it. We knew coming into this game this is what we wanted. Like, this means Flash Wolves had a strategy. They were trying to play the poke. They, you know, planned it ahead. What else have they planned for the rest of this group? Because, of course, CLG and PAYNE now looking at it and going, well, ooh, you know, CLG's looking good, but a surprise upset, you know, just more games.
Between CLG and Ku the next time they play. That's not a game tomorrow. They have the day off, so
they have the day off. Yes, so this group is not playing tomorrow.
Till Sunday,
Some more scouting time for Flash Wolves.
Yeah, potentially. But, I mean, how much scouting? They already said they have individual plans for all 3 of the teams. So by the time Flash Wolves plays the next game, it's going to be a total.
Come on, those plans change when you see teams playing, and now we start seeing this meta.
Still.
Yesterday, we didn't see any Lulu. Today, we saw, what, 3-4 games of Lulu?
Yeah, and 2 Lulu losses, right?
Yeah, but...
you said she was OP.
She is OP. I mean, the thing is...
She lost twice. Yes, how could she possibly
She lost
be
a few games, but she was always ahead in a lot of the games where she was played, you know, and she wasn't the main reason the team lost. But, like, against Ku Tigers or Flash Wolves, it's so smart than being like, oh, this team is normally really poor in the early game, so let's draft a siege composition that can just get time to scale up and then group and then start hammering away. And there is so little Ku Tigers could do against it.
There was so much poke. Lulu and Alistar, while they can be tanky and really hard to deal with, are actually really bad against poke. You can't preemptively shield poke most of the time, and Alistar can't use his ultimate while he's getting poked, because then he's just completely useless.
And
not to mention the Morgana in that game that uses Black Shield. Obviously, Flash Wolves did a lot to play, but a lot of that actually was decided in the draft.
Yeah, I feel the same too, but now, you know, you're talking about potential, talking about strengths of teams, blah, blah, blah. CLG Ku is the matchup we're looking forward to. CLG, questionable performance yesterday, and now today, obviously a stronger win against PAYNE, especially once they got out of the laning phase. Are they looking the real deal? Because the EU teams that are winning are looking stronger.
The CLG, they're looking like the alpha dogs in this group right now, even though they haven't played Ku, which is kind of strange. And the, quote, inferiority that was shown in the Flash Wolves CLG game isn't looking so bad now that the Flash Wolves have beaten Ku Tigers.
Oh, I like that.
Everything is relative in these groups.
A little bit too early for me, though, to really call out again who is the heavy favorite, despite CLG being 2-0, because that Flash Wolves game was so close between them. I think just, again, the more games we get under our belt, right now we're just looking at the trends. What is the team showing? Are they doing the same they did like back here in their own region and coming into it? Have they changed anything? Are they playing the right champions? That's what we're looking at now. And that's why CLG has been looking good, because they have some good picks, but they also gotten a little twice. Come on. Gotta get rid of that one.
Protect the Double Lift has now won 2 games at Worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unreal. Old school, right? But it works. The last time he was here. Favorites in the group, obviously CLG looking good. Pre-tournament favorites, EDG and SKT, they've not been tested yet, both sitting pretty. They play each other. And let's also remember, in the group, they are with H2K and, of course, the Bangkok Titans. Yeah. Bangkok Titans have been just hammered. I mean, it's been a difficult group stage for them. H2K, glimmers of hope, but I think some of the individual players not really up to the task.
I agree on that one.
So let's look at both sides, because it really is kind of a 2-horse race.
So with H2K, I think what we're seeing for them is kind of the opposite that we see from Origin, CLG, and Fnatic right now, because those 3 teams have shown they can handle these top teams individually, but also on a macro level. With H2K, I see some good moves in the early game strategically, but I think player-wise, they don't follow as well. There's too many individual mistakes, and they get like punched out, they get a little bit too greedy, and that's why they don't manage to do a whole lot in their games.
It was one of the worst things for them coming into this group. I think in some other groups, maybe they would take some games, but they're literally against probably the two best teams at Worlds.
I mean, it's an impossible group almost.
Right, and when the group draw happened, as far as the overall quality of the games at Worlds is concerned, I was really happy about this group because you essentially had two of the weaker teams at Worlds with the two best teams at Worlds. So the rest of the groups would end up being really competitive, and we're getting that now. And then tomorrow, we get to have the EDG SKT game, which I'm really excited for.
I can't wait. I mean, how do you predict it? Because the only thing
you don't.
Come on, all right,
EDG
come on.
is going to win.
Worlds tonight. I'm putting you on the spot tonight. I want you to predict.
All right, EDG is going to win.
The Endless Disc has had predictions all the time, so you're going EDG.
EDG is going to win. First of all, SKT plays a lot around skirmish in the early game. EDG can match that. That's what we saw at MSI as well. I think Mako and Clearlove, those two guys together will beat Bengi and Wolf, as they did at MSI. And also, I mean, okay, my only question here for EDG is Amazing J. I'm not been too impressed by him yet. If he steps up to the plate and goes even, at least with Marin, EDG takes the game.
That's a swinger for me. I think Marin is going to crush in the game.
So we're split here. So EDG, SKT?
Yeah, I think SKT will win. I've been a big Marin fan for most of the split, only because he was super high gold share, super high farm jungler, top laner on tank junglers, and people were like, he can't transition to the carry top laner. Then he just destroyed on Fiora in the H2K game. Add that to Bengi playing really well, add that to Faker being Faker and being on form here at Worlds, and I think they probably take him down, especially considering the Chinese teams have shown some pretty heavy struggles so far.
Except for EDG.
We'll have to.
Two fairly easy games.
Okay, well,
it's going to be super close gaming, no matter what. We don't even know if they want to show anything.
I'm passing this note
At least one of us is wrong.
Well, thanks. Your powers of deduction are incredible.
I had to make one proper prediction.
Listen, let's look at the schedule for tomorrow really quickly, because the one thing we haven't touched on is, of course, Group B with Fnatic, IG, Cloud9, IHQ, and like my eyes are on that IGC9 game tomorrow to see how well Cloud9 are going to perform. They surprised everybody against AHQ. Let's assume Fnatic are the favorites against AHQ, but yeah, IGC9.
IG really needs to bounce back. I mean, what they showed yesterday was not acceptable for them. There were too many mistakes in the draft and in the early game. But again, they are a team that swings a lot, high highs, low lows. They need to get up towards the highs if they want to beat C9, and they should be able to. They're going to be favorites still going into that game. Again, we've only seen this team play once, so IG is my favorite to take it.
Yep.
But if they underperform like they did on day one,
I mean,
they'll lose.
It's so hard to balance the recency of results versus the month of research that went into these things. And I so heavily favored IG coming into this group and so heavily disfavored Cloud9. But those one games were so ridiculously swingy. I'm really excited. I get to cast all three of the final games tomorrow, I think with Crepo and Doa. So those will be great. The IG C9 game, I'm with Deficio. I think IG will probably bounce back. C9, I think, is doing a really great job of harnessing the power of the underdog. Like, they are really motivated by the fact that nobody believes in them and everyone is completely running.
Was it the 6-step plan to world domination?
Yeah.
If memory serves.
We are in the midst of the 6th step.
I'm aware of that. I saw what happened with Vigar middle. Like, this is actually happening. So yeah, Cloud9 versus Invictus tomorrow. They were actually behind us while we were chatting here on Worlds tonight. Guys, thank you for chatting. We've got some predictions locked in. We'll see which one of you is wrong tomorrow for SKT EDG.
He's wrong. I was about to point me.
That's it. Yeah, you guys are both wrong. Whatever. That's it from us here in Paris, guys. We will see you tomorrow as we continue the World Championships.
Both of these regions are so far undefeated in the World Championship. Here comes a wave. They're trying to get after too early. Comes with the knockup. Flushboy takes a lot of damage from the turret. Someday gets slow, gets taken down, can win the game for them. And the big game for score. In comes Nagne. And it's going to be a bloodbath there. Here comes the Chaos Dog. Korea 3-0.
Which is about to be got moves. Get back.
Origin takes down one of the contenders. Suddenly 007 here. And SKT takes it, GG.
Gonna get a knock-off on the Cassine. They're gonna keep running his depth. He's hopping. He doesn't have that much damage, but he's gonna try. Flashes burn. First blood to Mako.
A very clean win to stay undefeated after 2 games. I get solo killed by the Brazilian faker, I want you to be right there for me.
Yeah.
Don't worry, dude.
CLG will knock it down. Much improved second game.